The violence across New Orleans impacts people every day and in different ways. Experts say children who experience violence or are witness to it can carry that trauma into their adult life. And without access to resources, that trauma could mean life or death. Eleanor Tabone sat down with a New Orleans man who found himself in that situation.
I grew up in the 7th Ward of New Orleans, in a community that had a lot of violence in it.
Calvin Pepp's life of crime began when he was just 10 years old.
Breaking in cars, fighting, real violent, abuse in the home, being abused by my stepfather. All these things were shaped, me.
As a child, he saw things no kid should ever see. As a teen, he was sentenced to juvenile life for burglary.
When I got out is when it got real bad with the gun violence, right? Because I understood this at a young age on the street. If I don't protect myself, then I end up like the first person that I ever seen laying on the ground.
At this intersection of North Rocheblave and Allen, Calvin Pepp says in 1992 he was shot. In 1993, he says he was then stabbed. The trauma and violence he experienced throughout his life, he then documented in this book. On the cover, he stands at the exact intersection where he nearly lost his life.
I was on a course that was destroying me.
His upbringing is a familiar story in New Orleans, where children sometimes witness violent crimes.
Seeing someone be injured or being hurt, or even hearing about it, can be quite traumatic to a young child.
Dr. Elliot Alexander Beaton with UNO's Department of Psychology says people who witness violence deal with it differently.
There's going to be an increased likelihood that those children will be pulled into criminal activity themselves, likely just because of survival, not necessarily because they're bad kids.
He says seeing violent crime alters a child's brain development.
It's going to affect the way that their ability to pay attention in school. It's going to affect the way they can regulate their emotions. It's going to affect their social-emotional interactions with others.
Calvin turned his life around. He believes it takes a village to raise a child, but says our village is sick.
I'm a 7th grade dropout. I have a master's degree now in criminal justice. I have a degree in addictive behavior counseling and prevention.
As a community, we need to put our heart into saving our young people because, he says, circumstances can change someone's whole life. Eleanor Tabone, Eyewitness News.
Both Calvin and Dr. Alexander say there needs to be more prevention and intervention programs across the city. Calvin says the availability of services in New Orleans is severely lacking.